you're clear on your principles, values of your profession, then you don't really need to worry about technology. Because if you're sailing strongly towards a North Star, this new element you add into the boat, you're still going in the same direction.
Hello parents, and welcome to another episode of Enara Talks. I'm Zoya, and today we're exploring a topic that so many families ask about. How can occupational therapy and technology work together to support children's development, not just in the clinic, but every single day at home? For many children and their families, occupational therapy sessions are incredibly valuable, and we all know that children learn best through repetition, consistency, and through practice integrated into daily routines. That's where technology can play a powerful role, helping parents feel more confident and supported in guiding their child's progress at home. Today, we talk about what this looks like in real life, why it matters, and how digital approach can strengthen the work therapists are already doing. I'm joined today by Adam Griffin, who is an amazing pediatric occupational therapist, professional with incredible knowledge and experience within the field of special education needs for 15 years, who works closely with families using both traditional methods and digital support. Adam is also the CEO and medical director of Hakkini Clinic and Healthcare City. Hello, Adam.
Hello.
And thank you so much for being with us today. I have a few questions to go through with you. And my first question would be, how do occupational therapists traditionally support children in developing daily living skills?
Oh, lovely question. It kind of cuts to the core of what occupational therapy is. And to answer that, I'm making the big assumption that parents already know what occupational therapy is. So indulge me in explaining it for a second. So
Sure.
what OT is can your child do the things they need and want to do? These are the
Sure.
occupations of childhood. What makes a childhood? Can they hold a pencil and do their buttons and eat their breakfast and hug their mom and make a friend and all of the things that build life, build childhood? That's what
Absolutely.
OT really works on. If there's something that stops their ability to do the things that you want to do, their childhood occupations, OT can help overcome that barrier. First,
Amazing.
understand it, and then overcome it. So they'll use a variety of tools. Anything that's helpful, whether it's to build skills, develop the child's confidence, develop the parents' understanding and the tools that they need, or the educators to try and help this child overcome the barrier. That's why it's an awkward thing to explain, because it encompasses so much. There's so many areas that we can work on, but it's just a lovely, lovely job. I don't know if I answered your question, Zoe. What was the
Yes,
question
you
again?
did. You did. The question was about how occupational therapy can support the children in daily living skills, and you did it really well. And
Yeah.
I think the parents will be very happy to learn, those little techniques that they need to focus on.
A really good line that kind of encompass all of it is this thing I ask parents and teachers to remember is your kid will do well if they can. So kids, that's the default. They'll do great if they have the tools to do great.
Definitely, yeah,
If not, that's holding them
absolutely.
back. So to give the child the tools they need, OT can really help there. And we use so many different ways,
Sure.
creatively and fun, to help overcome that.
Fantastic. Okay, now what challenges do OT face when families struggle to follow through with home programs?
Yeah. And there is a lot of that. So it's actually in Dubai. We're here in Dubai today, and it's very specific, not unique to Dubai, but certainly it is. It can be a challenge because you can do great work in the clinic as a therapist, and the child can love going into the therapy sessions and have a great time and work their hardest and do amazing work on worksheets and games and gross motor activities and all this beautiful stuff. But if that doesn't translate to real world impact and real world improvement, where they are finding life difficult, be it the classroom, community, or the home setting, then it really doesn't make a difference. Why are you there? Because you're meant to help bring value and help make this young person and their family's journey through life a little bit easier. So the transition between the clinic and the home or the classroom is what makes these skills generalizable. So beautiful communication with parents is a really good one. To make that seamless, this is where one of many areas technology can come in. So you want to, in a very real way, sometimes in a very literal way, I want to invite the parents into the therapy room, into the interaction with the kid. Here's what makes it funny and slightly not unique, but different in Dubai, where I'll occasionally have parents that say, "You're the expert. I saw your stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently you're the man." So they say, "So you take my kid. I'll be out here in the waiting room. And you give him back to me when he's done, when you've learned the things and he's done the work." I was like, "No, man. Okay, that's not the way this works."
It's a teamwork.
Exactly. And so I have no expectations for parents, but I'll show them. This is where I'll bring you into it. Here, we're going to bring you in and involve you in this game. You're going to be down the floor with me as well.
Sure.
Not in a forced way, but in a way that feels natural. Then they see how the sausage is made. They see how this is actually building the skills, and they have a clear understanding then when they go home, this is how you carry this over.
Perfect.
For instance, if I know, please do stop me.
No, it's very insightful. So, please go ahead.
For example, that we might have a young boy who is sensory seeking. He needs to move a lot, really struggling to sit still in the classroom. And then I'll have dad thinking, okay, he needs to settle down a little bit. It's a little bit much. And school are telling us he has a sensory need, so he needs OT. So, okay, to the outside observer, the dad may think, oh, Adam, he's just playing. It seems just playful.
Yeah,
where's the work? Dad, this is the work. As the good Fred Rogers said, play is the work of childhood. So I'll bring the dad in for him to see how hard his son is working here. Yeah. And for him to feel confident and feel natural and genuine in his ability to transition this into the home setting, be it rough and tumble play or bedtime stories with a big squeezy hug or something that feels it's as beneficial for the parent as it is for the child.
Absolutely.
And they feel like they're growing within the therapy process, not just the child and their skills.
This is amazing. You know, it is so important to involve the parents and to teach them how to recognize those opportunities, because they may not even notice, but they have plenty of opportunities during the day when the child is at home, right?
100%.
To practice all those sensory needs.
When you plan, it's almost like, I literally say this sometimes, it's like I'm giving the parents this new pair of glasses to put on. Because once you see, sensory is a great example, because once you see and understand why the child is seeking this movement, or you're looking for learning opportunities or sensory opportunities or confidence development opportunities, once you're aware of them, it's like you see them everywhere.
Exactly.
It's like if you ever wanted to buy, like, okay, I really want a blue car. I don't see that many blue cars. And suddenly half the cars on the road suddenly seem to be blue cars. So that's little bit of increased awareness for parents. And then you have the awareness and then the empowerment. Dads are a bit of a special case in this one, because sometimes quite often, I'll have moms coming in who have their own ChatGPT notes they have already, or the Google searches, or this book they read, and brilliant. Get all the information you can. We'll unpack it together. So I have moms who are good to go. They're like Marines, ready to jump out of the plane into the learning experience. Occasionally I have a dad who doesn't really see how he fits into the dynamic. He's there to support. He's there to do what he can, but he's sort of on the sidelines, not really sure how to get involved, where I get to have the wonderful privilege of bringing him in and showing, Dad, you're really important here too.
100%.
We just had Father's Day, just happened.
Yes.
The dads are key to this dynamic. And I want to make sure everyone around this young person, mom, dad, teacher, LSA, siblings, they 100%. All understand how they're key to this dynamic.
Amazing. The teamwork is the, wonder work. Of course. So the next question I would like to ask Adam is, in your experience, how digital tools can complement traditional OT methods?
OTs are a funny bunch, man, because there is, for quite a few years, and I will caveat this by saying I'm a big old nerd. So I play video games. I'm all into it.
Wow.
Since I was really small as well.
That's
so
cool.
I'm a big old nerd anyway. But not all OTs are. In fact, for quite a few years, there was almost like a resistance towards technology. There was a clinging to, no, we want to make sure we have only like raw pine wooden toys and stacking blocks and nothing with batteries, nothing plastic that makes noises. Both things can be useful. So there's not a total push against technology, because therapists seen this advancing tide of screen time, an advancing tide of things that eliminate boredom or creativity and elements like that. That is true if it's left unchecked. It's like a fire.
100%.
Can warm your house or can burn it down, depending how you use it.
Absolutely.
So the mindful use of technology. I'll give you a few clear examples, because almost all of the kids I work with, they're digital natives for sure, and technology is a big factor for them. there's elements about use. I wouldn't even get into the conversation about the use of screen time and stuff like that, because that's a whole conversation by itself. But there's certain elements of technology that can be really, really beneficial. For instance, in my ability to communicate with parents, for them to share information and pictures and videos, to have easy, open communication through use of technology. A lovely one I've used in recent years is, for example, OTs for years would use things like social stories.
Yes.
So social stories to teach young people about going to new places or new experiences. They teach kind of social awareness and to manage expectations of, say, if you're going on holiday, you have a social story about going to the airport, all of those lovely stuff. And so you know what they look like.
I know, yes.
Develop a lady called Carol Gray. She's super, but social stories have these little egghead cartoon character looking dudes.
Yes.
They're not exactly very exciting or visually engaging for a kid.
I understand.
So what I will do is I'll have a picture of this little man, and mom will send me a picture he likes of himself. I'll turn him into Studio Ghibli style anime character that I can put in real world environment. So here's his little superhero version of himself going through Dubai airport with things he will really see. So it makes it applicable and personal and generalizable. That's one area, but it's that ability to just make things personal and make things, because it's a very useful catalyst to make things easy and
support emotional regulation, right? 100%. Within that environment.
Yeah. But it's still aligned with the thing we were always trying to achieve. The core values and the core principles and the humanity of OT is always there. The technology is never doing the thinking for you, but it can be a really useful tool that not all OTs, not all therapists embrace wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I also find it amazing. You know, those social stories are so valuable. And I think it's very genius idea to put the child face into that little superhero, you know, so that brings him himself envisioning, imagining, you know, being there, and makes it much more easier for the child, isn't it? So that's awesome.
There's another one I do. It recently became quite popular now. It's kind of emerging. It's a training I've had for quite a while called Sensory Dragons. So it's actually using AI to make a visual representation of the young person's sensory system. Because this can seem like something that it's hard to explain to others. And it's hard to actually get the young person to understand themselves and see it, that the challenges they have, the difficulties they have sitting still or feeling overwhelmed by loud noises, where does that come from, and why do other kids not have this? So what I actually do is use a little visual system to present this sensory personality as a little dragon that it helps the child get to grips and understand and educate others about their sensory needs, but in a way that doesn't feel judgmental. It doesn't feel less than others. The kids see it and they're like, that's so cool. It's really nice. And it's ways that it's age appropriate, it's child friendly without being childlike, which is a very important line to kind of catch. And it's really popular now. The feedback I've gotten from this one is tremendous. So I'm trying to do more and more with it, because anything that amplifies the child's own voice and builds their own understanding of themselves. Because remember what I said at the very beginning, guys, kids do well if they can. If the child struggles and no one understands, they'll continue to struggle and keep their head down and do the best they can until they don't have to be in that environment anymore. 100%. Until people stop asking them questions. If they have a better understanding of why this is difficult, and then the tools to support that, it's kind of like the whole world opens up a little bit more for them. And that's kind of largely because of the technology I'm using to apply that.
That's amazing. Thank you for highlighting that. That's really nice to know. And can digital tools help the parents maintain consistency, especially when therapy sessions are limited or irregular?
Yeah. So I guess I have a sort of very specific example of that from my position, because it happened sort of accidentally over COVIDs and lockdowns and things from many years ago, that my YouTube videos became relatively well known in countries that I hope one day I get a chance to visit, but I've never reached. So it became a little bit of an international reach. And I would hear from families who they have no geographical access to any therapies whatsoever. So digital tools and the ability to access information is hugely important. in a transitory place like Dubai, I've had many, many parents who've worked with me, but then they move on and they move to another country. So the ability to actually stay in touch and follow up, or if they just logistically, like knowing Dubai traffic, if you can't get to the clinic more than once every 2 weeks or something, and you're working around those logistical challenges, these tools can be amazing. Just staying in conversational contact with your therapist, having videos or visual guides of how to apply these things. But you know what makes it different with the technology? Actually, it's really key. I think it's missed a lot. Therapists have always given home programs. That's not revolutionary.
Every time.
One of the things technology changes about that is it's no longer as prescriptive. It's not, here you go, here's your list of 20 activities, do that. If you don't, or life gets in the way, you're going to feel guilty and feel bad about yourself.
Yeah, sure.
Adam said to do that, you're not. That happens a lot. Rather than being prescriptive, now it's more of a dialogue. It's more of a conversation. Like you can kind of, in a more real way, you can bring the therapist into your home a little bit. And then you can have things that are a bit more specific for the physical space, but also your life and your context and your schedule. So it's more adaptable and more fluid and malleable, and you can make it work for your life and your circumstance. We're right now going into summer in Dubai, which means lots of families travel, so we can work around those kind of real world implications. Because therapy is never a binary thing. You're either doing it or you're not.
Absolutely.
No. Therapy happens where you like it or not. Go to the mall, play football, go to the playground, go swimming. That's all therapeutic.
Literally, it is.
So your child's brain's always responding to the daily challenges it's presented with. The ability to just put a little bit of a therapeutic zhuzh on the top of everything you're naturally doing anyway, and add, like we said about that awareness, add a little sensory extra to going to the park or doing this, or bring this with you. If you go to the beach, maybe do this for a little bit of proprioceptive heavy work as well. It's stuff that naturally fits into your life, and technology can really help make that real and also track it. Otherwise, it's sort of
structure it, maybe.
Structure it. Because if it gets measured, it doesn't mean you have to take data and everything. But if it gets measured and tracked, it can be like empowering to realize, this is cool. And we have opportunities throughout our life.
Absolutely, absolutely. So how important is daily repetition for skill development in OT?
Oh, it's hugely important. It's one of the two most important things. So in all my reports, I have this one line. I say, the most important two things to consider when developing skill are opportunity and motivation.
100%.
Those two things. So if you have a kid who they want to develop this thing, I had this with a dad recently, and he said, he doesn't need to do these exercises or do this physical play because he goes swimming twice a week and martial arts on a Thursday. I was like,
okay,
cool story, Dad.
Great,
But he also had breakfast today. He'll probably have something to eat this evening as well. It's something that constantly needs a fire, that constantly needs to be fed. So this repetition, great, it does need it. There's almost... the need for that is even more evident when you work with kids with motor coordination difficulties, let's say. So say if they struggle with body awareness, motor planning, handwriting, take a kid with DCD. So motor coordination difficulties. They do PE. Fantastic. Great thing for them to do. But say if they're practicing tennis or baseball or something. They line up to take a shot. Then they go back to the start of the line. So he has to wait in time. He takes his attempt, but he has to go wait in line again. Maybe he only gets 5 or 6 attempts. He's not even halfway to making the motor plan yet. So getting enough repetition, but when he's doing the trying, it shouldn't make him feel bad about himself. So it needs the repetition.
100%.
You need, this is Adam's 3 laws of learning. We'll jump into. For something to be really beneficial like that, we want to make it fun, clear, and accessible. If we can have something like a Venn diagram, fun, clear, and accessible, if I can get those to overlap, you're on to a winner. If it's not overlapping, so if he's repeating it because he has to 100 times a day, he has to do this writing practice.
But then it's not fun anymore, you see.
It's not fun anymore. You'll have a certain level of kind of physiological benefits of the motor skills and stuff, but he's kind of phoning it in. It's like if you were a personal trainer and bringing someone to the gym, but they're not training for anything. They're only
Okay.
lifting us because you're staring at them and
Yeah,
making them feel weird.
yeah,
If
yeah.
they're like fired up and you're really got them motivated,
Uh-huh.
then they can do them. The results are going to be much better. Same for the kid. Because that's why when I do home programming, I actually never say reps or times. I don't give any of that
Mm-hmm.
because I want the young person almost to be keen to do it, to
Sure,
make it
sure.
fun, clear, accessible.
Yeah, yeah.
So having that repetition, but repetition in a
Mixed
way
with something,
mixed with fun.
yeah, with
And I
something
would put
fun.
fun above. So
Yeah, yeah,
opportunity,
yeah.
motivation comes first, and then giving the young person lots and lots and lots of opportunities,
Yeah.
but also the clear and what was the one? Accessible.
Uh-huh.
So the repetition, they know what winning looks like in this repetition.
Mm-hmm.
So like, okay, I understand what you're asking me to do. I have to do here. This has to throw
Yes,
from here and
yes.
land in the bucket. And then accessible, it's not too hard. It's not too easy.
Absolutely.
Align
Absolutely. It
those
should
up,
be balanced. Yeah.
get the reps in, and you're off to a winner.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay. Now, how do you see technology shaping early intervention in the next 5-10 years?
Oh, that's a super question. What I would like to see is, because sometimes people see the advance of technology and sort of blindly bring it into everything. So we have to apply this veneer of technology into every aspect. But you still, kids need to get messy play. They need to get into things.
Absolutely.
That's why
Yeah.
I see a lot of there's handwriting programs you can do on tablets, for example. There's benefit for them too.
Yeah.
And you don't need a lot of tapers to organize, and it's right there. But
Yes.
there's a reality to things. There's a textural effect, a sensory effect.
Absolutely.
A thing called haptic feedback, which is like
Yeah,
the feel of the pencil on the paper, all of these beautiful things. So you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You don't want to. You want to get what technology can bring to the party, but then not lose the benefits
Should
you're
be
getting.
combined.
So,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Should
So
be combined.
exactly right. So what I would love to see technology do is actually bridge the gap between what happens in the classroom, in the therapy room, and the home. So what we talked about at the beginning of this conversation is ways to invite parents more collaboratively
into that environment.
Exactly. And then they see the crossover. There is the dichotomy, the kind of Rubicon between the classroom or the therapy room and the home and the real world.
True.
It's imaginary. It shouldn't exist at all. It should be porous. So all that beautiful learning, it very easily translates. One of my favorite things I get to do is I teach a child a skill they couldn't do before. So they impress themselves. And then they can't wait to do it at home and show their friends and show their teachers or parents. And then they get to impress them. And then the child gets to watch them be impressed. Because usually
it's so rewarding.
They're aware of what they can't do and other people
can.
can. It's really nice to flip the script on that.
Sure.
Technology can help with those kinds of things, because then you're bridging that gap. And you're making it kind of this awareness of the real world and how these things are supposed to translate into real life. Then that's lovely. A little example of that, I would say, is there's an area I see work with a lot in clinic that only matters in the real world, and that's teaching social skills.
Yeah.
So social skills, friendship skills. There's lots of really great curriculums and workbooks and stuff you can do for it.
Sure.
But then you have a child who does worksheets, pen, paper worksheets. They do talking elements about friendship skills or social skills or body language or any of these things. But then they go back to their peer group and they forget all of that.
Yes, they can't do it.
Yes. Things like technology, for example, we can role play. We can do imaginary scenarios. We can do real, almost procedurally generated social interactions.
Yeah.
And we can do 1,000 of them. And then he can continue doing them in their own time.
Yeah.
So now this thing that felt very dry, it felt very clinical, now is real. It has a punch to it emotionally. And that's why the young person then can actually apply these, and they don't need anyone else looking over their shoulder.
Yeah.
They can build the skills so they genuinely do feel confident the next time they're in that environment.
Step. Yes, absolutely right. And my last question, Adam, would be, what would you say to parents what worry that technology might replace hands-on therapy?
Yeah, it will if you let it. So I don't think that if you are mindful of the intended use of technology, that it's there as an extra, a catalyst, something you're adding in, but the principles of therapy never change. You're focusing, remember, That's why I love OT so much. I'm
Right,
biased. I
right.
literally call myself Adam the OT. So I'm going
Yeah.
to talk about how great OT is. But one of the reasons I do love it is because it's almost like an amazing bulwark against the fears of technology because it's so grounded in reality. It's not about results and standardized assessment. It's
Yeah,
about,
absolutely.
can the kid do the thing they need and want to do? And can they do it where it matters, not just in the clinic
Yeah,
or
yeah.
not just on a tablet. They can apply the skills to hold the pencil, do their homework, get the grade they want, make a new friend, go to the bathroom independently. All of these things, that's life. Can you do it or can you not?
Yeah.
Technology can really help in the ability to empower, kind of bridge the gap, like I said, generalize these skills, but the skill is still grounded in the realist of reality imaginable.
Totally.
Yeah.
So the key here is like balance, have it balanced.
Yep.
And overviewing what is, technology, what child is accessing, not overdoing it and making sure it's functional. So,
precisely.
Yeah.
It's like we had this little conversation just off camera before we started. So a few years ago, I had the privilege of being asked to write the editorial for the Indian Journal of Occupational Therapy.
Right.
And they had a special edition all about technology and advances in science and the use of new technology and treatment approaches for occupational therapy. All very exciting, all tremendously great. But my editorial was almost a counterpoint to the rest of the issue because it was about, don't forget where we come from.
Sure.
We're about reality. We came from a generation of ladies who sat helping soldiers weave baskets in the side of bedsides for the occupation. It's the doing of the thing that is the therapy. That is our prescription pad. Playing games are my medication that I use to develop kids' learning and confidence and all these skills. So if you have a very true North Star you're sailing towards, if you're clear on your principles, values of your profession, then you don't really need to worry about technology. Because if you're sailing strongly towards a North Star, this new element you add into the boat, you're still going in the same direction. It's just a new way
and
to roll
probably
the boat.
enhancement to your pathway.
Exactly, because it doesn't steer you wrong. You just take it on board, like I do with if I find a new puzzle or a new toy, I think, okay, what issue can I use this to help solve? How can I make this fun? Technology in a very, very similar way. Say, okay, this is more tools for my ever expanding toolbox. And then you get to share these tools with parents and educators as well. And the lovely thing is, when you find something that works, be it technological or pine stacking blocks, your kid will let you know, this is cool. Or,
exactly.
This is terrible, boomer. You don't know what you're talking about. So the kids are so ruthless in their immediate feedback.
I agree. Yes.
So it's really lovely. And then it means you get to kind of build this and move forward with it, but you're always remaining true to kind of your principles and values.
Sure. And Adam, to conclude our conversation, can you share a few tips for parents? Because the summer is approaching, obviously, and I'm sure there are a lot of parents out there thinking, oh, how I'm going to do it. The schools are off, the centers may not be able to deliver frequent therapy and so on. So maybe a few tips to those parents, if you can share.
Yeah, it's have an awareness of, I know it's start of the summer holidays. It feels like this vast tundra of weeks ahead. How are you going to fill that time? You can already hear the echoes in the distance of your child going, I'm bored. Can I have my tablet back?
Absolutely.
So all of those things, and being bored is fine. I would say there's a very practical thing you could do. So every year I do this Adams Checklist Challenge, which is 99 suggested activities. It's on one page. Families stick it to their fridge. And if your child is bored or looking for something to do, there's 3 columns of make, move, and imagine.
Wow.
And they're all everyday things. You don't need any prep. You don't need to pay for things to do it. You tick them off as you do with the summer. And there's like a challenge element. So the current high score is 47 of these activities over the summer, which is actually a lot. Some of these would take quite a few hours.
Wow.
And the kid, because it's the nucleus of a great activity idea, the child will look through and say, oh, what can we do? Some of them you might need to go to the local store to pick up like paper cups or something like that. So it's something to keep them occupied, but it's not that piece of paper that's important. It's just the way it gets kids started. Because the scariest thing, when you're writing, the scariest thing is a blank page. As a parent, the scariest thing is a day with nothing planned and how you're going to keep the kids engaged. So all you need is the first sentence.
True.
Best of times, it was worst of times. Great beginning sentence. So whatever the first line of the novel of that day is, you just give them that. You give them, okay, here's the beginning of the story. Now go. Now you tell me the rest of the story. And that's what something like that is. The lovely thing is, though, it's a learned skill. When your kids get halfway through these activities in the page, they'll think, who's this Adam Griffin guy? What does he know? I've got cooler activities. I bet you do.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, absolutely.
There's a reason it's 99 activities, because there's a box at the bottom, which means the 100th activity, the kid has to come up with themselves, and it has to be something no one's thought of before. It's very fun. And then I'll get all these pages people send me, and some of the really good ones get added to next year's list. So a lot of these are novel games the kid came up with. And this ability, this is a great sign off, this ability for the kid to make their own fun, make their own entertainment, to sit with boredom for a little while, let it percolate, that's great. I will touch on screen time for a second.
Yeah, sure.
So if you imagine your summer holidays, take a single day in the summer holidays. It's a blank canvas. For a kid to paint a developmental masterpiece, they need blank canvas.
Of course.
If the canvas is full of screen time and distraction and roadblocks and all these other things, there's literally no space on the paper anymore, on the canvas. So they need emptiness. They need things that's unscheduled and time, and just maybe you give them. The list is like, here's a brush and some colors. Show me what you got, kid. And then they get off to the races. So don't be afraid of days with nothing scheduled. Give them the beginnings of ideas, but because if you give them a full activity, they won't really they didn't choose that.
Yeah, exactly.
If I did that to you, so you'd be like, I want to do this, I'm in the mood.
Exactly.
So it's hard to be prescriptive in that way.
Sure.
So you just point them in the right direction, give them a little nudge. If they are engaged, don't forget this. When kids are enthusiastically engaged in developmental rich activities, do what I call grandmothering. Do you know what grandmothering is?
Well, I could guess. I think
it means, I wonder if the guys in the producing staff here know what grandmothering is. It just simply means if they're doing something, you don't become interested.
Yeah,
grandparents are great at this. Like, what's that? Oh, that's so good. Who's that guy? Why is he fighting? So you involve yourself a little bit and let them bring you into their world. If they're into Pokemon or Fortnite or something, don't be afraid to add a little bit of that in there too, or let them bring that themselves. But that element of anything you can do to just notice when they're doing awesome stuff, rather than just finger wag all the time and say, put that game down, go outside. No. Give them opportunities, but then get involved in it as well.
Be a part of it.
100%.
That's a wonderful advice. Thank you so much, Adam, and thank you so much for being with us today. And to every parent listening, you play the most important role in your child's development. Technology isn't here to replace your instinct of your therapist's expertise. It's here to support you, guide you, and make your daily routines easier and more purposeful. If you ever feel unsure about how to help your child at home, reach out. You are not alone, and support is always available. Thank you for joining us on the Future of OT, blending human expertise with intelligent tools.